This is Business Plus Weekend, a roundup of business and economy news of the week that was and what to look forward to in the coming days. Stories that you must know this weekend. The Uttar Pradesh Global Investors Summit 2023 kick-started today with a slew of investment promises from industrial giants like Ambani and Aditya Birla Group. On the very first day itself, India Inc. lined up big-ticket investments with Mukesh Ambani pledging 75,000 crores in the next 4 years across geo, retail and renewable businesses in UP. Reliance is expecting to create an additional over 1 lakh jobs in the state. Aditya Birla Group has promised 25,000 crore investment across businesses like metal, cement and renewable energy. Inaugurated by the Prime Minister, the UP Investors Summit will bring together policymakers and industrial leaders from 10th of February, which is today, up until 12th of February in Lucknow. There will be a total of 34 sessions during the course of the summit that's likely to see MOUs being signed across industries. And moving on, amid the ongoing debate in the Parliament over financial institutions like LIC and SBI's exposure to Adani Group, LIC Chairman M.R. Kumar is expected to speak to the Adani Group's top management to get clarity on the Hindenburg issue and understand how they are planning to work around it. Kumar said that LIC's investment department has reached out to the conglomerate but can't share a timeline of the meeting. He added that LIC has not reduced any exposure to the Adani Group. Remember, LIC holds equity and debt positions worth almost 36,000 crores in Adani Group of companies. Now, this has been a major point of contention in the Parliament. Congress has claimed that the exposure of financial juggernauts like SBI and LIC puts the common man's hard-earned money at risk. Meanwhile, LIC has shrugged off concerns, saying that its exposure to the group is less than 1% of its total assets under management. The Adani issue took centre stage in Parliament one more time today. MPs of the Congress and other opposition parties staged a walkout from Rajya Sabha after the chairperson objected to some of the remarks that were made by Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge. Meanwhile, Adani Group has hired US-based law firm Watchtel to fight allegations recently levelled against conglomerate by Hindenburg Research. In yet another setback for the Adani Group as well as its investors, MSCI earlier today said it will be reducing the weightings of 4 of Adani's 10 listed entities. MSCI said it will cut the weighting of Adani Enterprises, Adani Total Gas, Adani Transmission and ACC in its indexes after reassessing the number of shares that are freely traded. The free float of other 6 Adani companies, however, will remain the same. Now the drawdown comes into effect on 1st of March 2023. Currently, the 4 companies have a combined weightage of 0.4% in the MSCI Emerging Market Index. MSCI reducing Adani's weighting in its indexes would force the passive money that tracks these indexes to also cut down their holdings in Adani stocks in order to avoid any tracking errors. Remember, the passive funds like ETFs typically emulate popular market indices. Unlike active funds, the fund manager does not decide what security the fund takes on. MSCI's drawdown has inspired another bout of selling in Adani stocks. Shares of Adani Total Gas and Adani Transmission were logged in the lower circuit of 5%. Adani Enterprises ended 4% lower after falling as much as 8% intraday, and ACC raised early morning gains to end at 1.86% lower. Joining us in the newsroom is my colleague Sridharan. Shri, after a retail selling spree, seems like institutions are also turning on Adani.
It does look like that some foreign institutions still have concerns over the Hindenburg report findings, which have raised some questions over the Adani Group financial health and dealings and everything else. And that could have a bearing on Adani Group's future plans. For example, the MSCI Emerging Markets Index has decided to reduce the weightages of Adani Group stocks, and that could force fund managers who have built a portfolio that mimics the index to sell down and bring their holding in Adani stocks in proportion to the weightage of the index. So that means there could be more selling in the Adani stocks. Number 2, Adani's own French partner, Total Energies, has said that it's going to put its investment in the hydrogen plant and the hydrogen investment on hold till the time the audit which they've done gives them a clean chit. Now remember, Adani and Total were planning to invest $50 billion in green hydrogen over the next 10 years. So this means there's additional challenge for Adani in terms of its future plans. So the first thing the Adani Group needs to do is to start addressing the concerns and give greater confidence to institutions and foreign investors that everything is all right.
Well, thanks, Sri, with all those insights. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court, while hearing two PILs on the Adani Hindenburg saga, noted that investors in Adani Group suffered losses after the short seller report. The Supreme Court observed that there is a need to safeguard investors and asked SEBI to come up with a framework. And moving on, new age businesses in India have found the going tough after getting listed on the bourses. But Paytm's third quarter numbers came as a major boost to other companies. Paytm achieved operating profitability within 3 quarters ahead of its guidance, prompting a cheeky response on social media from Zomato CEO and founder Deepinder Goyal. Zomato's own results, however, were less than impressive. The food delivery major reported a jump in losses for the third quarter, but Deepinder Goyal put up a brave front, attributing the widening of losses to a slowdown in food delivery businesses. Now, Goyal noted that green shoots of demand is coming back and assured shareholders that the company is focused on long-term growth opportunities. After listing on the bourses, there has been a visible change in the approach of management of some of these new age companies. From junking cash-burning verticals to taking austerity measures on operating models, the companies have been forced to adopt new measures to deliver returns to their shareholders. And in another development, Alibaba is no longer a stakeholder in Paytm. Alibaba has reportedly sold its remaining 3.4% stake in the company via a block deal. Earlier in January, the company had sold around 3.1% of its stake. On to the macro front now. Industrial production rose by 4.3% in December. Factory output measured in terms of index industrial production grew by 1% in December of 2021. The data released by National Statistical Office showed that the manufacturing sector's output grew by 2.6% in December of 2022. Mining output also rose by 9.8% and power generation increased by 10.4% during the month under review. Moving to news related to budget session, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today reiterated that the new tax regime is very attractive for the middle class. Replying to the discussion on union budget in Lok Sabha, Sitharaman said that the budget astutely balances the requirement of development imperatives within the limit of fiscal prudence, essentially highlighting government's balancing act. She said that the budget focuses on the middle class, employment generation, MSMEs, agri-sector, rural population, health and green growth.
It at least became 1.7 times.
And Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot also presented his last budget for 23-24 today before assembly polls that are due later this year. The big focus was on youth, unemployment and women. Among major announcements, Gehlot announced 200 crore welfare fund and inflation relief package of 19,000 crores with an intent to provide relief to the masses from rising prices. The package includes free food packets every month to poor families, LPG cylinders for 500 rupees under the Ujjwala scheme and free electricity up to 100 units per month to domestic consumers. Taking a leaf out of Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, CM Gehlot also announced free bus travel for girls and women. What caught everyone's eye, however, was a major goof-up. At the start of his speech, Ashok Gehlot, the Chief Minister, who also holds finance portfolio, started reading excerpts of the previous budget instead of the budget 23-24. The Chief Minister later apologized and said it was a human error. Moving on, the year 2023 is turning out to be synonymous with layoffs. Each passing day is peppered with reports of layoffs at big and small companies. The latest to join the layoff bandwagon is Yahoo. The internet giant is slashing 20% of its total workforce. Yahoo's move follows competitor Google's decision to lay off employees. Yahoo's decision to sack employees comes a day after Disney announced that the company is laying off 7,000 employees. Zoom, a company whose fortune skyrocketed due to the pandemic-induced restrictions, has also announced that it is laying off 15% of its workforce. On to the world stage now. Elon Musk finds himself at the center of a fresh controversy. Records show that Musk's brain implant company Neuralink is responsible for potential illegal movement of hazardous pathogens. The US Transportation Department is now investigating the matter. An animal welfare organization said that it has obtained emails and other documents that suggests unsafe packaging and movement of implants removed from the brains of monkeys. Now, these implants may have carried infectious diseases in violation of the federal law. The group says it has obtained documents that show instances of pathogens that may have been transported without proper containment measures. The letter adds to the scrutiny facing Neuralink, which is developing a brain implant that it hopes will help people who have paralysis walk again and cure other neurological ailments. Reports say that Neuralink has been under a federal investigation as of December last year over potential animal welfare violations. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business Plus. For more incisive news analysis and cutting-edge documentaries, keep streaming News9 Plus. Thanks for watching.